Hey everybody, my name is Ryan Shear and I am here with Judge Larry Winfrey. And today we're going to be talking about all things drug court. We got some pretty big announcements coming up. You came to me about a month ago and said, hey, this thing is happening. And I want to get to that. And that announcement, because I'm going to make people wait, is there's another drug court. There's a second drug court coming to town. And the way I understand it, it's for families and reuniting families. So give me just a very brief history of the original drug court and why the second one is coming in.
We've had a drug treatment court in Laclede County since April of 2021. Diversion courts, that's really what they're known as. Typical courts, you go before the judge on a criminal case, so you may have a jury trial, you're sentenced, and there's a punishment aspect of it. Diversion courts take them out of that typical judicial setting and divert them on another path. And the neat thing about diversion courts is you're really focused on what are the issues that lead to these problem behaviors instead of just punishing the behavior. And so you see a greater transformation when people come out the other side. And so recidivism is lower. So that was kind of the impetus for treatment courts. And so we started the drug treatment court in 2021, and it didn't really surprise me. It did overwhelm me a little bit my family's lived in this community for many generations, and I knew the type of community we have. So I knew they would be supportive, that I'd find support in the community. I was overwhelmed by the amount of support for the program.
Not to deflect, weren't you against it at first?
Oh, absolutely I was. I really thought that treatment courts, these diversion courts, were another soft on crime method to avoid going to prison, avoid punishment, avoid responsibility for your behaviors. And so I was against it. There was a movement to start treatment courts in Laclede County probably for the 10 years or so prior to us starting one. And it wasn't until the aftermath of Ferguson, the George Floyd incident, the defund the police, and we started getting these criminal justice reforms, decriminalization, bond reforms, when all of a sudden a lot of the tools that I was using to help folks find recovery while their case was progressing was taken away. And so I'm sitting at my desk, I'm thinking we're going to have to do something different. And I'm like, I'm handcuffed. There's not a whole lot I can do. Used to somebody would have possession of methamphetamine. They would be arrested. I'd sign a warrant, and they're sitting in jail. They can bond out. Here's the conditions. These are the things that they have to do, which is a lot of very similar to what we do in treatment court, those conditions. If they can't, then they come before me, and if they can't post the bond, then I'll end up releasing them on their own recognizance so long as they're meeting these conditions. Well, that was taken away. And so now people will get stopped for possession of methamphetamine, have a law enforcement contact for possession of methamphetamine. They may just get a citation, which is like a ticket, like you'd get with a speeding ticket with a court date on it. And so anyway, the drug problem wasn't getting any better. And so that was the impetus for me to come to the conclusion that, hey, maybe we need to give these treatment courts a shot. And it was very difficult at the beginning getting that drug treatment court started because law enforcement, prosecutors, other folks in the criminal justice arena had the same mindset I did, that it was a soft on crime. And so the answer was no. And so I'd come back with, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? This is the environment we're in. Let's try it. And boy, was it a game changer and an eye opener. So
when I pulled you back that far, it overwhelmed you.
Yes. And so I was overwhelmed by the amount of the response the community had for it. And so it really exceeded my expectations on what we can do for our participants. And when I first started the drug treatment court, we didn't go to a lot of training. I knew the procedures and how it operated. And I told the team that we assembled that we're going to keep it real simple. Whatever the obstacles to recovery are, we're going to remove those obstacles. Well, every person's recovery journey is different. And it was explained at one of our treatment court conferences that if recovery is the tip of the mountain, the top of the mountain, and you're down here at the base, there are 1,000 different ways to get to the top of the mountain. There's no one way fits all. And so it has to be a dynamic, oriented situation to address these different issues. And so we put together the team and I said, keep your eye on focus on removing the obstacles. And so usually it starts off pretty basic, food, clothing, shelter, transportation. You may think, well, those are not, they're big obstacles. And if you don't have some of those things, you fall back into the crowd you were with before and don't expect a different outcome if you're going back hanging around the same people, the same environments. And so you have to break from that. Well, that's not easy, especially when, and the way the criminal justice system operates and society is when you get caught up in it and you get convictions and you do some time in jail or prison, you come out with that record, you have a tendency to keep getting pushed down. Already in a system where you're pretty low as it is. And then we start taking your driver's license away and we just pile on. It just gets harder and harder to dig out of that hole. Many are able to do it on their own, but there's a lot that are so far down in that hole, there is no way.
And in one of the qualifiers to drug court, as we talk about getting far down that hole, and one of my misconceptions when me and you started talking a couple of years ago is that this is slap on the wrist drug offenders. That it's not. It's exactly opposite, right? Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the people that are qualifying for drug court and what their lives are like and what their legal journeys look like.
Well, that was one of the problems I had with the treatment courts as well at the beginning, because to qualify, you have to be high risk, high need. And there's an assessment we do that takes in a lot of different factors. It's a very lengthy assessment. And you have to score high risk, high need. And those are the folks on the back end of the system. They've been to prison. They've been through treatment programs. Nothing has worked. Those are the folks that we take. And my view was, hey, if we take people on the front end, then they never get to the back end. Let's intercept them early so that we don't have those problems. And it's not designed for that. And I think that's the correct way to do it is what we're doing. Recidivism runs about 30%. So that means the criminal justice system that we have in place works for 70% of the people. And so it's that 30% that we're focusing in on with these diversion courts because nothing else has worked. And so that's who make up treatment court.
And to date, how many graduates have you had?
Oh, off the top of my head, I would say we're getting close to 30.
And how many of those have ended back up in court and jail?
0.
And see that,
so far.
So far. And
yes.
We understand that's a so far.
Yes.
And this program's been going on for several years, 30 people. So we know that it's effective at least
yes,
for this amount of time.
And so also to further explain that, when we started off, we didn't have any resources. And so we started off our first participants, and it takes 18 to 24 months to complete treatment court. We started off with 3.
Yeah.
And so the first 2 years, the first year and a half, that first graduation was 3. And so it's really expanded from that point on. And then we gradually grew it as our resources grew. We got better at what we did in identifying treatment programs. And so we started enlarging that net on the number of folks that we could take. Right now we have more people wanting in than we have spaces available. And if I can just digress a little bit to talk about that.
Of course.
We are not a check-the-box program, and you hear that a lot in this arena. A check-the-box program is kind of like what you do on probation. Here's the things that you have to do, and you just check the box. Okay, I did that, and that's it. We do the deep dive. We tell them when they come in, we're going to be in your business. I mean, in your business every day. You're going to be dealing with us a lot. And so we are hands-on. It's messy. It's time-consuming. But we're walking right beside them through their struggles, through their successes, and that relationship that builds between our participants and our treatment court is very powerful. And so that's what sustains them even after they graduate, is that relationship. They know we're still there, that we care. And since that takes so much time, we have debated how many is too many, because once you start getting too many, you default back into becoming more of a check the box type program. So we've been very careful, and arbitrarily we say about 30 people is kind of our max that we can take at any one time. But it depends on the cases we have. So like I said, there's a lot of different paths to get that recovery. Some hit the program and they are so hungry and so ready for recovery, they take off. Others, a lot of time, those are your greatest success stories when you get them to the finish line. But a lot of effort. So it just depends on the makeup of the participants that you have. When Amy Folsom, our prosecutor, comes to us and say, hey, we have a person that's a possibility. What do you think? Do we have room? And and we go through that assessment process. So yeah, and I think I got off on a rabbit hole and forgot what the initial...
No, the initial question was how many of you had in, how many of you had... Because we were talking about the recidivism.
Okay.
Say that word. Yeah, the...
Recidivism?
Yeah, that's it. And how you've had 30 go through in the past few years. Yeah. You had nobody end up back as of so far.
Right. And that's what I wanted to address. Yeah. Because recovery lasts a lifetime. And so we feel that they're well equipped before they graduate from our program. And we caution them that just because you graduated doesn't mean life's not going to come at you.
Oh, of course.
Old demons are going to rear their heads. You're going to get blindsided by some things you didn't expect. We want you to have the tools to be able to handle that in a productive way. And so I'm not going to tell you that our graduates, that we haven't had some graduates struggle.
Of course.
We have. And when we have graduates that struggle, we're reaching out. The team's reaching out. Our other graduates are reaching out. There's a good support mechanism there.
That's what I was going to ask you. As if somebody graduates and does land back in the court system or struggle, do you guys still have, you probably don't have a court-appointed legal role in that, or maybe you do, but is there that supportive, are you still tracking them, trying to be part of their lives? Like, what are the conditions after they complete?
There's a lot to that question.
Oh, I know, and as I kept babbling the question out, I'm like, there's a lot to that. But. So the one things we hear back from our participants after graduation is there's a disconnect. Yeah. Like I told you, we're in their business. They're used to it, to us being in their business. And then they graduate and we're not. We still check on them, but there's just this disconnect. It's kind of like maybe when if you went off to college and you're not living at home anymore. Right. That first time you've left the nest, all of a sudden there's a disconnect from what you considered normal. And so we've really struggled with a way to fill that gap. We'll talk about that here in a minute, because some good things are happening on that front. And so even though we tell them and even though we check up on them regularly, they still say that there's this disconnect. And some of our really amazing graduates said, I was blindsided by that disconnect. I didn't think it would hit me like it did, and it just really hit me hard. And so it's a real thing, and we understand that. And so we're trying to come up with a way to make sure that they stay connected, and some good things are happening in that arena. Now, the other side of your question, if somebody would show back up and pick up new charges, they go through the criminal justice system just like anybody else. Now, the team would still offer recovery support. And we haven't had it in our treatment court system yet because we haven't had anybody back in the system. But I know in other treatment courts, it's not uncommon for them to if they pick up a new charge, then they have the option to come back and go through treatment court again. Well, that's really good, because you're not giving up. These are human beings. Yeah. And I'm sure there's criteria for a second fly through.
Well, and the nature of treatment court and I think I've explained it to you before, we really only have 3 requirements. Show up, try, be honest. You notice in that I didn't say stay clean, stay sober, any of that. But if you do those other 3 things, you will be sober, you will be clean, and you'll find recovery. And so it's not unusual for people that have started using drugs when they're younger than 10 years old, which most of our participants, that's the age that they say they first started, was younger than 10 years old.
Which is just insanity to me.
It is. And so now they're 30, 40. And so they went through an 18-month program. They've graduated. They're doing really well. It's kind of naive to think that it can't happen, that they slide back. And so if they do, and they pick up charges, then I could certainly see in the right case, you still have to wait and go through the assessment where somebody would reenter treatment court. How that would look and where they start off at the beginning or I don't know because it hasn't happened yet, but we'd figure it out. It would be their recovery plan would be tailored to their life situation.
And I want to move over to the new court coming in.
Yeah.
And why I wanted to talk in depth and so much about the original drug court, how much of those values and things carry to number 2?
We would not be talking about number 2, but for number 1.
Okay.
So the Laclede County Treatment Court, I'm biased, of course, but it's exceptional.
Yes.
And it's exceptional for a couple of different reasons. I have the easiest part of it. I just kind of steer the ship.
Yeah.
We have an amazing team that is really invested in what they do. 2, we have an incredibly supportive community, and it shows. And so I had somebody, there was a 26th Circuit posted something about the Laclede County Treatment Court. The number of views and likes and all those things was off the charts compared to anything else they'd ever posted. And I said, it's because I've been telling you all, we have a community that is really supportive of what's going on. And I think part of that is because, and I think we're unique when you compare to a lot of treatment courts, we're also very inclusive of our community. We're not doing this in a vacuum away from our community. We're doing it in our community, for our community, with the help of our community.
And the one thing I would add to that is we have covered multiple things about drug court for Lebanon now. The 2 graduations we have been to, so far, I believe, is the number 2 story of this year so far. And last year, it was the number 2 story as well. Out of all the stories that we cover, out of all the things that we did, out of every post that we made, they are the biggest stories. And I remember when you came to me and said, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I said, "Yes." And we recorded a lot, and I recorded a lot of interviews because I'm trying to figure out how to put it all together, right? And the more I'm getting involved with this, I think growing here up here in the 80s and 90s, the meth epidemic was just insane. And maybe it's because my peers and that was kind of the age group they were in. Now these 8 people are older now and having kids, and they're running through. And I think as a community, we were really tired of the problem. Right. And I think for a minute we got mad at the problem. But I think as a community, we look at it and see these people are trying to recover, and they're trying to do better, and they're trying to be a better and bigger part of our community. And I don't think anybody can be mad at them for that.
And I think part of that is, and we have such a giving community with so many different, just great charitable organizations. People like to root for the underdog. And so, and they also like giving a hand up, not necessarily just a hand out. And that's what treatment court is. Our participants doing all the heavy lifting. I mean, they're incredibly difficult what they're having to go through. And a lot of times it involves separating from parents, kids, friends, in order for them to find the recovery. And they're doing that heavy lifting. It requires a lot of humility. And they're doing all of these things. And I think our community sees how hard they're working at it, and they want to help, and they want to root for them. And then they're happy with the success story. It's like the Rocky Balboa thing. And so, but none of that would happen if our community didn't care. And so our community cares. They care about what happens in our streets, in our schools, in our workplace. And so they're willing to invest in that. Maybe not, if they have money, maybe they invest in money. Maybe it's, hey, I'll come and help. I'll volunteer to do this. I have some that volunteer just to be mentors, just to walk alongside these folks and give them life advice. Have no experience with drug usage or addiction, but hey, I know some things about life, and it's just having a person, another contact. That's another tool in their toolbox. Mm-hmm. And so just in all areas, the outpouring of assistance from our community is just overwhelming, and we're fortunate to have that.
So tell me how the new family court, drug court, is going to be structured.
Okay. Well, so
and what's the official name? The Family Treatment Court?
It'd be Laclede County Family Treatment Court. Okay. Family treatment courts, in the treatment court model, and in all of the treatment court models, there has to be a substance use disorder, whether it be drugs or alcohol, to get you in. So you're not going to find treatment courts, for murderers and abusers and things like that. It's substance use disorder. And family treatment courts are one of the newest ones to be rolled out. And I had some people in our juvenile court system that's been lobbying with me for a while to start a family treatment court, but I also get people wanting a veterans court, a DWI court, a mental health court. And yes, I think we need all of those, but time's a problem. I still have my regular docket that I have to do. And so I've been resistant to these others. I average, Judge Jackson and I average probably 150 to 200 cases a week. Sometimes it's double that. Mm-hmm. Very seldom it's less than that unless we have holidays or something in there. So we have a very busy courthouse. And treatment courts are time consuming. And so finding the time to block out that you can devote to it becomes challenging. We came really close to get a treatment court commissioner. That's a judge that just does treatment courts last year, but the judge, Governor Kehoe, used a light item veto to veto it. It didn't even come close this year because of the budget crisis, and I don't expect it. The word I'm getting is it probably won't happen next year either. So that's falling on judges that do a little bit of everything, our regular judges. And so in the 26th Circuit, we have 4 treatment court judges. They all have full dockets on top of it. And I do the ones for Laclede. So family treatment court, I was invited due to the success we're having on our adult drug treatment court to a state workshop called Upstream. And a very well-respected retired judge, she used to be the presiding judge in Cole County, contacted me and asked me if I'd attend this Upstream. And Upstream, the concept behind Upstream, if you intercept problems with families upstream, then you never get to the court, which is downstream. And so that's the idea behind it. And so I go to this workshop, and there's 100 people there. I'm like, why am I here? Because it was juvenile judge. It was all players from schools, counselors, children's division caseworkers. It was all in that arena. I don't do any of those. I mean, I do family law cases and child custody cases, but not in the juvenile arena where children are being removed from the home. So I'm like, why am I here? And the start of the second day, Judge Joyce coming beside, she goes, now, well, let me back up just a little bit. The number one priority that was identified in that workshop for our area to address the problems with children being removed from the homes, going into foster care, was we needed a family treatment court. Number one thing out of everybody. And there were some other resources that were identified, but that was the number one thing. So Judge Joyce came to me and said, now, we need a family treatment court, and Laclede County needs to have the pilot program, and you need to do it. And I was like, I see the need. I see the merits of it. And the other thing, all the players, all the people, all the potential team members of that family treatment court were present. And remember, like I told you in the adult treatment court, when I went to the prospective team members, I got no's.
Yeah.
They were all there, and they were overly enthusiastic for a family treatment court. And so I said, "Oh, Judge Joyce, you played me really well. You played me really well."
It's been a long time since you've been peer pressured.
Yeah. I said, "How can I say no?" I said, "My only worry is my clerk, Carla Ivy. She might throw something at me if I go back and say we've got to carve out a time each week for family treatment court on top of my other dockets, and that's hard. That's hard.
Sure. Yeah.
But so that's how it got started. And I have to say thank you to Judge Jackson that agreed to rearrange some of his dockets and help me out with some of my dockets so that we could make it happen. But here's why they wanted to start the family treatment court, and they wanted Laclede County to have the pilot program. We have 146 kids currently in foster care in Laclede County. That number, that's down. It was up around 200. So we have 146. That's more than double the number of kids in foster care in any other county in our circuit. Matter of fact, it's about equal to, if you take all the kids in foster care in the other 4 counties in our circuit, Laclede County is about right there.
Is that because of substance abuse? Have we pinpointed the problem why it's so high in Laclede County?
It would be conjecture. That definitely plays a role, but there's a lot of problems in the other counties as well. And I think part of it is a lot of those other 4 counties are lake counties. And so you have a lot of people that their lake homes are their second homes. And so they identify problems. Those are being addressed back in the counties they come from. So it's a different makeup in those counties. Miller County is the one that's closest to us in numbers. And so their makeup is a little bit more like what Laclede County is. The other thing I would say is we have a really good, our law enforcement, juvenile officers, children's division are very proactive in protecting kids. And so I think that's part of the dynamic too. So I always caution people when they look at crime statistics. Be really, and actually Richard Drinkle, our former sheriff, is the one that educated me. You have to be really careful looking at crime statistics, because when you see the crime statistics, it can mean one of two things. You have a really bad crime problem, or if the statistics are low, it may be that you have a low crime issue in that area, or you just may have law enforcement that's not doing their job.
Yeah, because you're exactly right, because those statistics come from arrested interaction with law enforcement. So it's either not happening, so law enforcement doesn't need to get involved, or law enforcement is ignoring it.
That's exactly right. So be careful with statistics. But anyway, we're not worried about those other counties right now. I'm worried about Laclede County, and I know there's a problem in Laclede County. I think the other reason that Judge Joyce wanted me involved is because, thanks to my wife, we have fostered many children over the years. She worked in the school system. I remember the first time it was, I don't know, 12 years ago. She called me and she said, "Larry, what would you say if I said I was bringing a little boy home?" And I said, "Is it legal?" And she said, "Yes. They have no place for him, and it'll just be for the weekend." Well, that weekend lasted a year. As a matter of fact, he still stays with us part of the time, and he's 20 now. And so I've been involved as a foster parent and involved in that system. And I have sat, we lost a good friend and judge and G. Stanley Moore, and he was a wonderful juvenile judge for a lot of years. And he fell out of a tree stand while he was hunting, and so I filled in and did juvenile cases for about a year. So I'm very familiar with how it all works on all sides. And so anyway, So this is the way family treatment court works. Unlike drug treatment court, you have a sentencing judge. They place them into treatment court. They no longer have any authority over that person. Treatment court runs with it. The only time the sentencing judge will get back involved is if they get terminated from treatment court, they get referred back to the sentencing judge.
And when you talk a sentencing judge, is this the child, the parent?
No, this is in adult treatment court.
Okay.
Okay. And so I'm trying to explain the differences between
gotcha.
the court. So in a family treatment court, it's a parallel court.
Okay.
So it doesn't work like that. You have the juvenile case and family treatment court going along side by side at the same time.
Gotcha.
It's not the juvenile court is deferring to the family treatment court. They're both, and the reason for that is the law requires juvenile court. There's time standards that have to be met in that juvenile case. And so they have to stay up on those. Now they do let family treatment court does all the day-to-day work on those, and then you keep the family treatment court or the juvenile court advised, and the judge can make the appropriate orders. It's not so to qualify for family treatment court, a child has to be removed from the home. So the child's going into foster care, and drugs or alcohol had to play a part of the reason why that child was removed.
As a clarifying question, the kid has a drug issue, the parents has a drug issue, both either?
The parents.
The parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The parents is the focus.
Okay.
And sometimes you may have both parents, maybe just one parent, but whoever that custodian is, the child is being removed. And so that means a juvenile case is being opened. So when a child is removed from a home and placed in foster care, the court has to have what's called a protective custody hearing within 72 hours. There's a tragic case of Dominic James years back that passed away because he was placed in a place he shouldn't have been placed. And so that's why we have the protected custody hearing. So the judge has some oversight. Do we have sufficient cause to remove the child? And is the child placed in a safe place? That's why you do that within 72 hours. So in the family treatment court, there is a position that's not on the adult treatment court called a service coordinator. And that service coordinator is really the go-between between the juvenile court and the family treatment court. Quarterback, if you will. And so the service coordinator will meet with the parent or parents within that 72 hours and do an assessment. And the assessment is for drugs, alcohol, and then the family dynamic. Then a determination is made based on the criteria that we create. Part of it is objective. The substance use stuff and alcohol is objective on the test. It'll score it. The family dynamic is subjective on, is this one that's going to need the services of family treatment court? And then they will, at that 72-hour hearing, they'll make a recommendation to the juvenile judge whether or not they should go to family treatment court. Then when they come in, you have a core team, which is guardian ad litem, attorney for the child, which is the same guardian ad litem that's in the juvenile case. Caseworkers, you have a kind of a treatment side of the family treatment court team, and then the family reunification side. And so all these services are provided. So you have a core team that is they're involved in everything, and probably half a dozen folks. But then, unlike the drug treatment, and I hope I don't lose people in the weeds, drug treatment court, we have 12 to 15 people, and that's the same team for everything. Mm-hmm. Family treatment court has a core team, and then you have others that are on the team, but they kind of float in and out as needed for case specifics. Like you might have a school counselor that's involved in this case. Well, they're not involved in these other cases because the kids aren't school age. Yeah. And so anyway, you pull them all together.
It's more of every participant kind of has a custom team, is what you're saying.
They do, or
they have a core team, and then they have custom peripherals.
Absolutely,
depending on what their party is.
Absolutely, and you don't in an adult treatment court. You have 5 stages of recovery, mm-hmm. So we have 5 phases that they go through. Family treatment court, their phases are based on unsupervised or supervised visits, unsupervised visits, trial home visits, and then once they're reunified, you graduate and the juvenile case is terminated all at the same time. Mm-hmm. drug treatment court is 18 to 24 months. The standards in juvenile court, they have to get to that disposition phase by within 1 year. So it's 12 months. So they meet every week. Every week. Drug treatment court, we meet twice a month. And then as they move through the phases, we meet once a month on them. So every week you're meeting with them because it moves a lot quicker. The time standards are a lot quicker. Now the nice thing about it is you don't have the set time standards on the phases, like this is 2 months and then 4 months, 4 months. It's whenever they're ready. Whenever they're ready for unsupervised visits, you move to unsupervised visits. And so you might have somebody graduate fairly quickly. I mean, it might take them 4 months and they're ready to graduate. If they need more than the 12 months, then you have to get an extension by the juvenile judge following the statute, finding good cause to extend it past that 12-month period. So those are the big differences.
It sounds a bit more complicated.
It is.
But it also seems like it's built complicated to be in the best interest of the family.
The goal is reunification of the family. Mm-hmm. Recovery is a part of that. It takes typically longer to get right now we're not going to take any cases where there's criminal cases. Mm-hmm. So this encompasses a lot of people that have substance abuse problems that aren't in the criminal justice system.
Let me clarify criminal case because I've not been in that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a family, DFS or family services or whatever it's called, they find drug use or some reason to remove them. There's been no criminal charges. They'll qualify for court.
Yeah.
If the police were there and there's criminal charges against those parents for something, they're not going to qualify for court.
Here's why that's a problem. When you're with treatment court, it's all hands on and you're directing them to do everything. So you just like in our adult treatment court, if they're on probation in another county or they're on parole, they don't qualify because you can't get sideways with what other supervisors of their life are telling them to do. Everybody's got to be on the same page. Mm-hmm. And so it gets difficult in the adult treatment court world. When they have cases in other counties, we have to reach out to those counties and get those judges to place them in our treatment court. And most of them will, but it takes a lot of work to get that done because you can't have a PO in Stone County telling them that they can't associate with this person, they can't do this. And we've got them going to groups with a room full of people they're not supposed to associate with.
Absolutely.
And so you can't have that. And the same thing in family treatment court, we can't have these different layers giving them different instructions. Everybody's got to be on the same page.
Gotcha.
And so again, we're starting off small because we don't have it.
And this is a pilot program for the state of Missouri.
Well, for the 26th Circuit.
For the 26th Circuit.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're very fortunate because one of the very first family treatment courts originated in Kennett, Missouri, Laclede County. So they are now a nationally recognized mentor court. And so when we started it, that was one of the first things that you need to go to Laclede County and so I sent out just a blanket invitation, people that's interested to be on the team. This tells you how much interest there is in it. If you'd like to go, it's 5 hours away. Here's when we're going to be there. And Judge Hardwick, our juvenile judge, and I drove down. We had 11 people show up for that from Laclede County that want to be a part of the family treatment court. 11 drove all the way down there to and very educational. And so they sponsor potential family treatment courts from all over the country. Will come into that small county, Laclede County, to watch their family treatment court. So there's a lot of excitement. There's a big need for it, and the goal is reunification of families.
Has it already started?
No.
Or is it getting ready to start?
So I think it was end of March, 1st of April when that upstream was. And so once I was a yes, I would do it. I had to draft a policy and procedure manual, handbook, get those approved by OSCA, apply for funding through OSCA, start putting the potential team together, and start setting up the training. And so we went to Dunklin County, we also visited with Commissioner Clevenger that has the largest, and she's a treatment court commissioner, but they have the largest treatment court in the state of Missouri. They have all of them that I mentioned earlier. And that's Columbia and Callaway, Boone County and Callaway County, Fulton and Columbia. And so we visited with them, got some great advice. We have OSCA training set up for July 18th or June 18th, so we should be ready to roll July 1st. That service coordinator, that position, that's been the hardest one for me to find somebody to fill that because it really needs to be somebody connected that knows the juvenile court system. And juvenile court's different than any other court anyway. And so you really need to be familiar with how that works. And so but I think we found a really good candidate to fill that. So I think we're in good shape to take off in July.
And you'll start the selection process for families in July, or you'll already have those selected and we'll get started?
Just this week, and we're still dotting our I's and crossing our T's. But I told the potential service coordinator, once she comes on board, we need to start screening families now so that we can hit the ground running in July, because there's a lag period. And so we need to be ready to roll. And so we need to already identify those folks. And one of the common questions is, well, is people already in juvenile court, will they qualify? No, because it's a 12-month process, and so we have to start them at the very beginning to have time to implement everything.
So the candidates will be people that enter the system, not necessarily criminally, but the system on July 1st on. But if you're already in the system,
you're probably not going to qualify.
And that's unfortunate, because anytime anything new happens and comes in. Last couple follow-up questions. With drug treatment court, you guys have graduations, a lot of public applause, since this involves minors and family reunification, should we expect that, or are we not?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. And actually, since it coincides, you have two judges there. You have the juvenile judge and the family treatment court judge, because you're closing the juvenile case at the same time that they're graduating. So it's a big deal all around, and celebrating the reunification of that family. Okay. Now, they do have the option to opt out, to remain anonymous, and of course we'll respect that. But yeah, we plan on having a big deal. The other neat thing about family treatment court, these are people that are already in the system. If they're in adult treatment court and they have kids that have been removed, and that's a pretty frequent occurrence, we can shift them over to the family treatment court for those family reunification services, and then they come back to the adult treatment court after they get those services. So you can bounce back and forth between the two courts, which I think is pretty neat. That
is neat. And one of the things that I like about this, a little bit from an outsider looking in, I knew there was a drug treatment court. I knew it existed. I don't know if I'd call it friends, but acquaintances with a couple people on the support team. So I kind of, from a weird cursory level, knew it was going on. And you invited me to come check it out. And I know we can't film. You've let me sit in those rooms.
Yeah.
And on my phone, I've still got it in my notes of all the questions I wanted. And I called you, and I'm like, here's my questions. You're like, absolutely. And one of the things, kudos to you, two things that I've heard about you. One, you were a different judge before drug court. That drug court changed how you kind of perceived what you did. I heard that, and I'm like, well, I didn't really know you before. I didn't, know you before. Why do you think that is?
I'm getting older. No, I think, and there's a lot of truth to that.
That you were, just for the viewers that may not know, you were pretty hard, from what I understand, you're pretty strict, pretty hard nosed. I don't know that I'd say throw the book at him, but you did your job. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to disparage you.
No, absolutely.
That's just what
and it's still the case on
good for me. I never had to experience you, in that aspect.
And that's still me for most of the cases.
Yeah.
I deal with in a criminal setting. But the thing that's really changed is that, especially on those drug charges, I'd see them coming back and back and back. Not really have a better understanding of the problem and the reasons that they're coming back and coming back. And it's not all just criminal behavior. There's other things that at play. And so now I listen more, and I have a lot more discussions about recovery. And I hand out a lot more cards to lane change, which has been a game changer for our community. And so that's been the big change. When I see somebody, plus after, and you got to remember, a lot of these participants that's went through, I've put them in jail, I don't know how many times. They
already know you.
They know that side of me, yes. And man, I see them graduate and what they're doing. And so now I see people when they're showing up on those kind of charges, I look at them and I see the potential that's there. Just get a handle on this problem. There's goodness and there's greatness in all of us. And you just got to get the junk out of the way and let it shine. And so I enjoy having those conversations. But it's not just that. Our community has changed. Mm-hmm. And it's been kind of a perfect storm for us. Treatment court is a part of it. Lane change is a huge part of that. Mm-hmm. Because their circle is a lot bigger than what treatment court is. But together, people know that recovery is possible. They know that there's hope out there. When I see people in court now, it's typically not that completely lost look. They know that there are resources. And so they're now coming to me saying, I need help. I need help. And so more people are going into rehab facilities. They're going to lane change. They're seeing the people these hardcore folks that's graduated from treatment court, and they're saying, I want some of that. If they can do it, I know I can do it too. And so that whole atmosphere has changed. And so the dialogue that I'm having in court is a lot different than it was prior to 2021. And the prosecutor and I was just talking, I think last week, the number of drug cases that we're seeing are down. Now, remember what I said about drug statistics.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't think it's lack of effort on behalf of law enforcement. I just think and don't get me wrong, there's still a big drug problem. Mm-hmm. But we're seeing a decline in those. So good things are happening in that arena in Laclede County. And also for you moms and dads out there, parents, spouses, your loved one has an addiction problem, whether it's illegal substances or prescription substances, there's help out there. We've got more resources now. I don't know how many people I hand them a card and I said, just walk into lane change, give them your name, they'll take it from there.
I want to relate two stories. One, both have to do with David Millsap in the box show that we used to do. We did a show with Stacy, mm-hmm. and then we did a show with Lane Change about Shiloh's Lighthouse.
Yeah.
On both of those occasions, we had people reach out to Lebanon Now and say, I want help. Right? Whatever you think about this platform and whatever you think about that was huge. That was huge because I'm just sitting at home watching something on TV and people are messaging me. And in Lane Change's benefit, I text her, I send information, and immediately one of them contacted me, one of them contacted her, and then Lauren contacted me about it. It was a man that was on pills, and he said he watched Shiloh's Lighthouse, and he didn't want to end up that way. He didn't want to do that. And then the lady that contacted me, and there are those resources. I think the thing holds true that somebody has to want to get help before they can ever accept help.
They do, but that barrier is coming down. Because what I'm saying is it's kind of cool to be in recovery right now.
No, that's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of cool people there, so you're breaking that barrier down.
That you can have that help. You can have that. I know a lot of times before we had diversions court, drug courts, things like Lane Change, if you had a drug problem, you pretty much went through the system. There wasn't a whole lot of help for you. You went through the system if you didn't have any money, and then the system usually made you worse. It got you more connections. Nobody was sober in prison because it's being smuggled in, it's being done. You come out with more criminal skills than social skills. And I think with diversion courts, I think we're starting to understand. Just like when you said that we need DWI court, mental health court. Mm-hmm. We do. I'm liking seeing the fragmentation of the justice system to address. Mm-hmm. The problems why people show up in front of you.
If I could add,
yeah, of course.
One of the important things, and I think it's one of the things that make our treatment course so successful. And we have this conversation with our participants, and it's important to anybody that hears this that may be struggling with it. It's okay to be you.
Yes.
We want you, what we tell them, we want you to be the best you that you can be. We want you to be you in a life of recovery. So we're not going to tell you how to live your life or what you should like or not like. We just want to make sure what you're doing it in recovery. So it's okay. It's okay to be you. I want you to feel comfortable being you, because that's a big piece of it. Once you start feeling comfortable with who you are, and we have a conversation, you know what? By the time you graduate, I want you to be able to look in the mirror and say, I like that person. That self-esteem and that feeling of self-efficacy that you can do things is very important. You get to that point, you've got the biggest part of the battle whipped. And so we do a lot trying to build that up. And that's a good segue to talk about. We talked earlier about the disconnect after people graduate. So our recent graduates have got together. They formed an alumni association, and these are alumni that's graduated from treatment court to kind of help fill that void and be a support mechanism. And they're having an event coming up on June 6th. We talked about this. I think it's at Ashley Park from...
Through the magic of the internet and technology, there'll be a flyer on the screen right now.
Okay.
With that exact information.
See the flyer.
Yes.
But
it is June 6th.
Yes.
It is June 6th. What time?
Is it like noon to 5?
The flyer. It's on the flyer on the screen.
It's on the flyer.
It's on the flyer on the screen right now. And the big thing is you're going to be in the dunk tank, my friend.
Yes. And so is Amy Folsom.
Is this your first time in a dunk tank?
No.
Okay.
But I haven't been in a dunk tank since I was on the campaign trail. And so, yes, if I've ever been that judge to you that was a little bit cranky and snarky and angry, now's your chance to come throw some balls at a dill and dunk me in a dunk tank.
That's going to be my clip. That's exactly, we're going to clip that out, and that's going to be exactly. And to clarify, this is just for alumni, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Because when I talked to you before, you said something about it being just for alumni.
No, it's alumni is sponsoring it, but they want to open it up to anybody that wants to come out. They really would love to have a lot of people in that recovery, that's in recovery, feel comfortable come out with their kids. It's a sober environment. One of the things that they complain about or that they don't know how to do, how do you have fun sober?
Right.
And so it's a new concept to them. And so this is one of the ideas of how to get together, have fun, play some games, do all these different things in a nice, clean, sober environment. But they also want the public to come.
Okay.
They're trying to tear down those walls between people that are in recovery and other members of our community.
Well, we'll try to help get that promoted out. And try to, I can't guarantee I'll be there because I have to talk to my assistant, which happens to be my wife, before I make any plans that I don't know about. Learned that lesson. And so, yeah, we'll try to be there. We'll try to cover it. If not, please send them some pictures. And
I'm sure somebody will.
Yeah, absolutely. We have fun. We because there's so much good going on there. There's this going on. You guys are building your own community. And I love that because you have the correct me where I'm wrong, the healing garden.
Yeah.
You have the healing garden, you have lane change, you're having events like this, you're having drug court and family court. And to know that these people on the support staff, like I said, I know a handful of them, they're in the criminal arena. They're probation officers, they're sheriffs or whatever. These people really care. Your support staff, one of the things I was greatly impressed with was just how much they do care about what they're doing. And I always have a theory it's because they've seen so much of the bad, that you have a chance to do good. And I think I've watched you and those people try to change the system, and kudos to you, my friend.
Well, and I would be remiss when we're talking about the community and the support that's there in the community. I've talked about treatment court. I've talked about lane change. But there's a lot of churches in our community that have recovery groups, Celebrate Recovery, Refuge, other men's groups. They are doing phenomenal. and folks are engaged in those, and I'm seeing, and so now we have people that's in recovery and they're kind of surfing. They're going to the different churches, enjoying those groups and what they provide. And so that's an exciting time. I remember back in the height of the methamphetamine epidemic when they told us that there was no treatment for it. I had overcomers coming from Community Baptist Church.
Yep.
And they would show up, and so they would intercept people after they'd appear in front of me. As they were leaving, they would talk to them, invite them to their Overcomers program, and those faith-based programs have results, and they were showing results that treatment was possible when the experts were telling us that it wasn't. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize. I can't recognize them all because there's so many churches that have those programs. I would like to thank them for that and continue to do that. It is working.
Well, we're out of time. Our 10-minute interview is now right at an hour. So
that's how it usually goes.
It does. Thank you so much for your time and what you're doing for the community. We'll have you back to update you. We're going to stay really involved with the drug court. I love telling your guys a story. One of the things we try to do here really is tell those stories of the community and the way the community cares and the outreach. Thank you for the time. Hopefully you'll be back soon, and keep us updated. We see each other about every week, but keep me updated about what's going on in family court. I would love to give the people at home an update because I have a feeling they're going to care too. Because one of the things, and it would be a series of 97 shows that never would come to solution, the foster care, that environment. So to see there be some forward motion there to help that reunification, I think the entire community is going to be very happy about that. So,
good.
All right.
Well, I will keep you updated. And as always, thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, my friend.